Hi guys, it's Annie, welcome back to BloomTV. Today I am going to do a haul video for you, and no, this is not my Black Friday haul because those books haven't arrived yet. This is another haul which I didn't actually know was going to happen because all these books were given to me for free. That's right, this isn't going to include really like latest releases or any really new books. These are all secondhand books that my neighbours actually gave to me because they are having a massive clear out, and their daughter studied English literature at university, which is what I am going to study next year, and they thought I might like these books, and it was so lovely of them to give them to me. They know how much I love reading and they are very similar, and we're really lucky to have them as neighbours because I can always talk to them about books. And yeah, they gave me 22 books and I was a bit like, what? But you might find this, so this isn't going to be any new releases or anything, it's all going to be kind of like texts and classics, but if you are studying English or you want to study English or you're going to study English like me, then you might find this video a bit helpful and kind of enjoyable. So I've kind of separated this into 3 sections because that's kind of how I organised it, and the first section is going to be anthologies of poetry, and some of these books are so weighty, and I'm not really going to give many synopses, and I can already see this video is at like 1 minute, so I'm just going to stop rambling. But because I don't really know much about any of these books, and I've only studied like 2 of them, or 2 of the authors, I don't really have much to say about them. Some I'd never even heard of, so I'm just going to briefly tell you about them. So the first one I have is Wordsworth and Coleridge Lyrical Ballads. This is an anthology of poetry, and it's edited by R.L. Brett and A.R. Jones, and I don't know what publishing house this is. Oh, University Paperbacks. I love this cover. I think it's so pretty. It's like kind of cross stitch, and I just think it's so nice. Like, all these books are from the 80s, so the covers might look a bit dated, but I think this one's really lovely. I was like, that's so sweet. Like, a really nice cover, and it's just got poems in it. Yeah, this one, the lady that gave these to me, her name's all in them, and yeah, they're all from the 80s, and it's fabulous. And the next one I have is Wordsworth the Prelude, the 1805 text, and this is a Open University set book. Nice bit of Wordsworth. Haven't heard of this one either. I mean, obviously I've heard of Wordsworth, but I haven't heard of this specific text, but it's Wordsworth. And the next one I have is, I thought this was going to be a weighty one, but it isn't, and this is a collected poems of W.B. Yeats, and I've never read any Yeats. Is that even how you pronounce it? I am the worst at pronunciation. Never studied any Yeats. I know it's a kind of classic that most people study in school, and I never did. But yeah, Yeats. And then next one I have is Poems of the Elizabethan Age, an anthology, edited by Geoffrey C. Hiller, not Hillier. This is again University Paperbacks. We never really studied any, apart from obviously the Shakespearean sonnets, I haven't studied any Elizabethan poetry, so this one's really interesting to me, and I love how they have this painting on the front. I'm really interested, especially because I've done sonnets before and I study a lot of Shakespeare plays, so studying poetry from the similar time period is really interesting to me. I'm quite excited about reading this one. The next one I have is Sir Philip Sidney Selected Poems. I had never even heard of Sir Philip Sidney. Kind of guessing he's Jacobean, or from that kind of period. Judging by what he's wearing, I assume this is him on the front cover. The ruff kind of, but it's not that wide. I would say this is kind of Jacobean. I could be completely wrong. Let's see what it says on the back. It's a very full selection of poems, apparently. Oh, this apparently contains the first English canzone. Canzone? Is that how you say it? Okay, he is Elizabethan. I was right. Yeah, I never heard of him. Probably won't read this until unless it comes up on one of my courses. But yeah. Sydney. Next one I have is a weighty one, and it's Byron, the Political Works. He was a romantic poet, that's all I know. I've never studied him. Oh my gosh, what's really funny about these is like all the pricing on the back, because obviously it was like 30 years ago when she bought these, and so it's like £4.50 for this book. This textbook, if you bought it new now, it'd probably be like nearly £20, and yeah, just interesting how price changes. But yeah, lots of Byron, and I've never read Byron, and I always think that I should, and I never do, so this book might give me the chance to. And then this is another weighty one, and like, God, so I just whacked my laptop. This is T.S. Eliot's The Complete Poems and Plays, and I actually have read T.S. Eliot. My mum has quite a few of his anthologies of his work. What is that, what you call it? Yeah, she has a lot of his work, and including The Wasteland, and also Cats was the one that she read to me when I was younger, and that's the one I'm very familiar with, because obviously there is this piece of work, well, Cats, which is in here, which they then based the musical off. I'm pretty sure. I always thought that was wrong. If I am wrong, correct me in the comments. But yes, T.S. Eliot, and something I'm actually read. But I'm really excited to have this and read some of his other stuff, because I only really read the Cats stuff when I was younger and I didn't really understand it, so it'd be interesting to go back now and see how much I understood. And the next section I have is all, oh gosh, I have these all like piled on my chair, so that's why I'm going out of screen. The next stuff I will have is dramas. Most of these I hadn't even heard the titles of, but I'd heard of some of the like authors, playwrights, and the first one is The City Madman by Philip Massinger. This is edited by Cyrus Hoy, and it's a Bison book, so that must be the imprint or the publishing house, and this is, I knew from the title, was a Renaissance drama, and never heard of this. The author sounds slightly familiar, but this is a play, and I have no idea what it's about, but I assume it's about a guy who is slowly turning mad, who lives in a city and is famous for it. Possibly. That could be completely wrong, but that's what I was going with from the title. So, have this one. And then I have So Much Will Match, which I think is so sweet. I have these 5 plays, which are all Shakespearean / Jacobean, I'm guessing from what the authors are, and the thing on the front, which is this lovely, they all have this matching illustration on the front, which I presume is of the globe, and this is Ben Jonson's Volpone, or Volpone. Heard of Ben Jonson, haven't read any of his stuff, so this should be interesting, and yeah, I like how they all match. Next one is The Duchess of Malfi by John Webster. Haven't heard of this person, this playwright, and haven't heard of the title either, but again, this one. Then the next one is The Spanish Tragedy by Thomas Kidd. Haven't heard of this person either. Don't know if I should have done or not. It does Kidd does sound familiar. And again, I probably should read this before I go to university, but this one. The next one I have is actually by someone I've heard of, and it's Thomas Middleton's Women Beware Women. When my mum read this, she started laughing because of the title. So I'm actually quite curious about this one, just because of the title. And Thomas Middleton is someone that I'm actually studying this year, so I probably will read this just to, or at least the introduction, which has some information about the author, so that I can be a bit more knowledgeable about him. And then the last one is also by someone I've heard of, and it is Christopher Marlowe's Edward II. I guess this is kind of like a historic play, kind of like Shakespeare's history plays, like Richard III, etc. Marlowe, haven't read any of him either, so you know, there's this common theme running through this video that I haven't read any of these, obviously because I'm just hauling them, or haven't really heard of them, but it's a time for learning and change, and I'm kind of excited. And these are all short because they're plays, so you know, it wouldn't take me too long to read. And then the next one is, I think, another play, or it might be a couple of plays in one, and it's The Challenging, again by Thomas Middleton and William Rowley. I guess they didn't know who the author was, so they put both. Sometimes that's what they do, I guess. Oh no, maybe not. I have no idea what this one's about, but Thomas Middleton, as I said before, is familiar to me, and I have no clue what this is about, like usual. So we're going to go into this with no clue whatsoever. like all of these books. And then the last set I have are all, oh gosh, either novels, this is the largest pile, novels or small anthologies of poetry, and I'm going to start with this one, which is English Moral Interludes, edited by Glyn Wickham. No clue what English Moral Interludes are. I presume they're a form of literature or a form of play or poetry or some sort. Let's read it on the back. That was me pretending to be knowledgeable. Oh, they're plays. This is a collection of 6 plays. And they share the generic title of interlude. I don't know. Maybe the cover's a bit hideous, I've got to say. I mean, I guess the whole moral thing comes into play when she's laughing at him, who looks to be in significant pain on the floor. But yeah, gonna read this sometime. And the next one I have is Everyman and Medieval Plays. This is edited by A.C. Corley, and this volume contains a selection of biblical pageants. I never know how to say that word. Like a lot of words, I never know how to say them. Again, a collection of plays. You can see this gorgeous piece of work on the front cover. This is who's this even by? Ooh, M.S. Bodley. That's who drew this beautiful piece of artwork. As I said before about the prices, this is the best one, $1.95 for this. Inflation. And the next ones, again, I have ones that all match, and they are different people's. This is like a collection. I guess this isn't all of them. Selected poems of different poets. So the first one I have is selected poems of Byron. These are all from, oh gosh, what even is this? Poetry Bookshelf, I think, is the collection. Again, a nice bit of Byron, so I'm hopefully going to read that. And then the next one I have is Samuel Taylor Coleridge. I have a love-hate relationship with Coleridge. We had to read it, The Ancient Mariner. Gosh, I really hope this is the right poet. We had to read The Ancient Mariner in year 8, and it took us nearly the whole year, and I just hated it. I just really didn't enjoy it. I guess at that time I wouldn't have done. It wasn't really my cup of tea. I'd rather be reading, actually, quite a lot of people. I remember 2 girls in my class reading under the desk whilst we were supposed to be studying this. Seemed legit. The next one I have is Keats. Again, British classic poet. Haven't read yet. Will do soon. And the next one I have is my favourite person ever. Could you count that with sarcasm? William Blake. I'm studying him this year. It's not my favourite. But I am enjoying studying it. It's just not... I don't know. I don't even... Why even bother lying? I'm not enjoying it. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. And it's not what I'm really used to studying, but it's interesting. Let's just put it that way. So when I saw this was in this pile, I was, of course, highly excited. But to be fair, at least these all have little, prefaces of most texts do, with information about the author. So I thought that would be quite useful for my studies, but I already own quite a bit about him, so that's exciting. And then on to the final section, which is novels, and the first one I have is The Ambassadors by Henry James. This is a Wordsworth Classic edition. I actually have quite a few of these editions because my grandma owns quite a lot of books in these editions, and I haven't read any Henry James either. I'm pretty sure he wrote The Dubliners, not sure, but yeah, I'm quite it's a classic author that I've never really been interested in because it wasn't a 19th century women's writer, and I know that sounds narrow-minded, but that's all I've really read, and I'm quite excited to read this eventually. Don't know what it's about, like all of these. And then the next one I have is something that I'd never heard of, and it's Poems and Prose by Gerard Manley Hopkins. I don't know why I said this was a novel. I think it was because it looked like a Penguin modern edition. I have never even heard of this person, but the cover's nice. And yeah, Gerard Manley Hopkins. I presume it's British. And then the next person I have is let me butcher this author's name. The Book of the Courtier by Castiglione. I don't even know if this is a novel. Yeah, it's a novel. Not sure how soon I'll be getting to this because from reading the back, it doesn't really sound like my thing. I know it says on the back it's translated by George Bull, so I presume it's originally written in Italian. I was right. Don't think I'll be reading this. Might give it to my dad because he enjoys these more. He generally enjoys these things more than me. Yeah, might read it eventually. The next one I have is Selected Writings of Thomas Carlyle. Again, something I'm not hugely interested in, but we'll give it a go. Haven't heard of Thomas Carlyle either, so I'll give this one a go. And then the next one has genuinely the nicest cover, which I think is just such pretty illustration. And it's William Morris's News from Nowhere and Selected Writings and Designs. I'm excited to read this. Well, not excited, interested to read this, and we're going to see how it is. And then the last one I have is the actual one the only one in here which I'd actually considered reading before I went to university, and it is Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse. I have not read any Virginia Woolf, which I know is like a sin, but I didn't have the chance, and this is so short. This is under 200 pages. Yeah, 191 pages. And it's not too small either. So I'm definitely going to be reading this. I've really been wanting to read a lot of Virginia Woolf, but I never know where to start because a lot of people say, oh, it's a bit like you have to kind of understand all these greater themes, and I don't think first reading I wouldn't really enjoy it, but I'm really like to read this. I was going to read Mrs. Dalloway first, but now I own this one, so I'll definitely be reading this because I really want to read Mrs. Dalloway so I can watch and read The Hours, which is based upon Virginia Woolf and Mrs. Dalloway. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one, and yeah, Virginia Woolf is always a good choice. So those are all my kind of I don't really know what I'm going to call this video, university haul, but it's not because that's quite a few months in advance, nearly 9 months in advance. Yeah, classics haul and literature haul, but those are all the books that I got from this little kind of haul, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you've read any of these or studied any of these, let me know what you thought of them in the comments, because I'd be really interested, because most of these I haven't heard of. I was a bit, not sceptical, but a bit but let me know what you think, or what you thought when you were studying them, and kind of if you could give me a synopsis of some of the stuff, that would be great, because I don't really know much about them. And yeah, I'll see you all guys next time. Bye!